Hey, 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 it's me, Rad Celebrity Hairstylist here, your host of the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast, a platform that allows the voices of the beauty industry to empower with the spoken word. Thank you for joining us on today's show. We're currently at 58.4 thousand downloads, and thanks to you on over 40 plus podcast platforms, including Amazon Music, Audible, and Spotify. Are you a hairdresser who's tired of industry BS? Ready to cut the crap and show up differently in your professional and personal life? Welcome to the movement of the industry change for conscious hairdressers. Hairdresser burnout can be a thing of the past. Many of us spend a lifetime pretending that the way we show up to work is fine. We keep fueling ourselves with caffeine, nicotine, and all sorts of substances just to help us get us through the day. Just like robots, we keep going, appearing as though we have endless internal resources. Yet, as the years go by on and ailments begin to show up in our body and in our life, we realize that working in this way is not all sustainable. Imagine a world where you can feel pleasure, deep restfulness, and enjoyment throughout your day in the salon, and have your clients actually benefit from you no longer putting crazy demands on your body at the cost of your health and well-being. We're all humans, and it's important to begin to treat ourselves as such. We need to stop the abuse we put ourselves through, and finally make ourselves a priority. You can keep your clients happy, you can make enough money, and you can have great reputation, all having nurtured and a nourished lifestyle. These are the words of today's guest, Mariana Ibrahim. And we'll bring her on. So welcome, Mariana. So I want to say thank you for being on the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast. And yeah, so I'd like you to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your background.
Hi, Brad. So great to be here. Yeah. And I was listening to you share that little piece, and I'm like, wow, those words seem so familiar.
Yes.
That's lovely to actually hear them back at me like that. So thank you for sharing that back. I don't often get my words spoken.
Well, this is the empowerment by the spoken word. And when I saw it and when I read it, I knew it had to be released into the universe, that it had to be shared. But it's a lot about what we're going to be talking about today. We've had some already in-depth conversation before, and I'm already starting to buzz already just having you here. It's incredible.
Yeah, it feels great. It's really, it's been a really long time. I've been at this for 20 years now. So, and been very alone on this path and this journey of working holistically and privately, and, having been in the industry now for 38 years. I'm a third generation hairdresser. So, a lot of pressure on showing up and continuing the family line of hairdressing and creativity. Became a therapist 15 years ago to expand this relationship business that we are in, as you know. And it became imperative to me that what we were really doing, what I was primarily doing with people, was developing deep relationships with them. And what I realized is I didn't have the skills or the tools to understand how doing that could expand my business, expand my capacity and my relationships with my clients, and more importantly, also help them identify and authenticate who they are. I got tired of just slapping on haircuts and colors and balayages and all the rest of it that were actually just happening in the world, in fashion. And I really wanted to start aligning my work with who the person in my chair was, which led me to looking at therapy. Because, as you know, when you actually study communication tools, it opens up, your I suppose the plethora of ways to relate with people in so much more dynamic methods, but more importantly, stopping and bringing it back to allowing the client to authenticate and not so much me authenticate, project me onto them, which is what was going on. You know, the ego in our business takes away from what we really can establish and create with our clients. And being a therapist taught me that. It actually really taught me to become silent and be more present and really listen. And I'm not talking about us listening just with our ears. I'm talking about us listening with our whole being, listening with our eyes, listening with our body, listening with our senses, listening with our feelings, and really actually connecting with the person that's in front of us in the chair. And there's something really magical that happens. There's a current, an electrical current that happens when two people are in the same space together. And, you know, and I just want to bring in just briefly, it's a really big topic, but I just want to throw it in there. You know, there's a science about this, and the science is called morphogenic fields. And what hairdressers aren't aware of is they're in a morphogenic field with their clients when they're working. And understanding the field, the morphic fields that we are working with, and what happens in a morphic field between two people changes the entire how you work.
Yes.
Let's crack it open. There's a science about this, you know, and then when you expand and you open up your mind in terms of like, what is the relationship business that we're in? What does it take to actually have successful relationships? What does it take to actually take your business and prioritize the relationship over the hair? Because we need to, let's face it, guys, here. People come to see the hairdresser because they like you as a person. And if they don't like you as a person, whether you gave them a great haircut or not, they won't return because they didn't like you as a person.
Exactly. I find that a lot of times too, especially in the business now, some take it as a more transactional kind of service as opposed to a relational type of service. And it's a totally different experience for both. You come in, you do the client, you cash out, you go home, you come back in, you do, and it's like just an endless cycle. And the client doesn't get value. They may, yes, get a great haircut, but as far as that heart connection and that, you know, that deeper meaning, and you put out in your Facebook, we'll post the thing there, but on your Facebook page, you can see the wonderful, and I've even shared some, the stuff that really makes you think, like the posts that you put, because people don't really think about being authentic. And the one that got me, which I posted, is you're also creating that image that client has to wear when they walk out the door. So, and if you're saying, oh, well, you know, that client gets looked at and that's your work, you know, that sort of thing. I got to hold myself back because I know we're going to talk a lot.
There's so much to talk about. There's like, you know, I suppose we're going to need to turn it into a series because there's just so many aspects to talk about. But I feel like the most important thing that you said there, and that is authentic, you know, and if we really come back into burnout, and I really want to call, because this is a really big issue in our industry. And there's not one hairdresser I've spoken to over the time that I've actually been running Head Ed is they've not actually shown up in mentoring saying they're not burnt out. Every single hairdresser is burnt out, and being inauthentic is one of the biggest causes of burnout. We've had a talk about this before. I've actually we had a talk last year about this on another podcast where we were speaking about how putting on and off masks. So, you know, let's relate with this, guys, you know, here. It's just like when hairdressers are adjusting their personality for every single client right through the day, and that could be anywhere between 6 to 8 people in a day. So if you're changing your personality, what we call putting on and off your mask, and you're adjusting your personality, so you're actually chameleon, becoming the chameleon in your business. So there's never any regularity in the way that you're actually presenting yourself in authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
That takes energy. That takes so much energy, vital life force out of you when you're doing that. So the burnout, that's just one aspect. Taking on and off your masks for every single client so that you can meet, like sometimes you have quiet clients, you have to be quiet. Sometimes you have rowdy clients and you have to be rowdy. Sometimes you have gossipy clients and you have to be gossipy. It's as an example of how we take on and off the mask. But if you actually set boundaries and set a container for yourself in your authenticity, and you actually know who that is, who you are, you never, ever, ever need to adjust anything.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, what will happen is clients will actually start adjusting to you, and you'll start attracting the kind of clients that meet your morphic field, going back to the morphic field, that meet your morphic field, which will then create an easeful day, no burnout, and you'll actually enjoy what you're doing right throughout the day because there's been no exhaustion. There's been no trying. There's been no push. There's been no service, meeting the service. You're actually meeting the relationship with yourself and your clients because they're all going to be very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And burnout is massive for what we do. And it's just, it's the caffeine, it's the not eating properly, it's the running around on your feet all day. It's also the on and off with the masks. It's the not actually feeling and knowing that you have the power to call in the kind of clients that you want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Just accepting anybody that shows up on the street. It's like, that is just a reflection of where you're not at. Really.
Exactly. And a lot of salons, I understand when you're first starting out, a lot of salon owners will say you need to build a clientele. They put anybody in your chair, but energetically that client may relate to you or may not, sort of thing. But there's so many points in there, and I've got so many questions, and
ask them.
But I'm just going to make a statement. So things are changing in the beauty industry, or change needs to happen in the beauty industry. Which would you say you more agree with?
No, things need to change in the beauty industry.
Yeah,
I don't believe enough people. I mean, we've got sustainability happening now, which is great, and it's becoming a larger scale. So there's awareness in terms of environmental, and I would have to put that down to all the news and all of the conversations that people are having about the planet at the moment. Mm-hmm. So as hairdressers, conscientious hairdressers are actually taking that on board in a micro scale in their business to make a difference in the macro, which is amazing. Mm. But what's not happening is that we're not really marrying a holistic model alongside of a sustainable model at the moment. That's what's not happening. So I feel like the industry needs to develop more awareness around this.
Yes, it does. And I'm a big advocate for change. I've always been a pioneer in my own town, things like that. And stuff has to happen. Like you say, you transform hairdressers from the inside out through education. Would you be able to go a little bit more in depth on this?
Oh, yes.
You're speaking my language.
Oh, you're speaking it. Yeah. Look, Evolve was birthed through that awareness of burnout, that awareness of, me owning a salon and having a really successful salon with 10 staff in Melbourne and working. I was doing 120 hours a week, And then, to top it off, I actually had a client that was the catalyst for me selling my business and getting out of commercial industry. And that was, she had a nervous breakdown in my chair and I had no tools to deal with this. So that moment that I wanted to stab her, it was just basically the lack of understanding of how to communicate and relate with this person really triggered the whole, how how can I better understand myself so I can better help people that are actually moving through transitions and change? And that was the question that I asked myself, which led me on this 20-year journey, you know, of like exploration and discovery and adventure. And so Evolve has come out of that because I started working in this holistic way after I became a therapist. I started integrating therapy. I'm a transpersonal counselor, an art therapist, an NLP practitioner, a hypnotherapist, a breath worker, a Reiki teacher. I brought in a whole lot of things as well as PT work. So I brought in a whole lot of things to understand the human experience. So when we look at Evolve, how I've broken it up is that the first part, which is the first 4 modules, is a 12-module curriculum. And the first part is taking it back to the hairdresser, to the self, taking it back to us, you know, getting to know who we are, our physical body. I mean, how many hairdressers do I get saying my shoulders are wrecked, my back is wrecked, my legs are wrecked, my arms are wrecked, my wrists are wrecked, my neck is out? Like, I can't tell you how many hairdressers I have that have got physical ailments. That can actually change. My understanding how the body works, how your posture works, how to find your center. And that is like the first module, the physical body in Evolve. So we can start bridging it in terms of we need to understand how we function. The senses, module 2 in Initiation and Evolve, is understanding how our 5 senses actually communicate and correlate with our energetic system and enable us to actually work freely, more energetically, more openly, and also awaken our clients in the same time. Like, how do we actually bring that environmental awareness to self so that we can actually share that with our clients in the same way? So there's harmony. It's not adjusting the tone for our clients. It's adjusting the tone for ourselves. That's
I really love that, because most people don't fully embrace, I think, themselves, their talent, the skills they possess, and the transformations they make in people, right? And I really like, because I do believe in, you know, finances come from service, but I also, what you're saying is, yes, in one, it's taking the care of the client, but if you don't take care of yourself first, how can you take care of that client? How can you be receptive and interact with your team members? How can you, that's a big thing that's missing, I think, in a lot of schools, because we don't really have that. They don't really teach you people skills. They don't really teach you self-care. They don't really teach you, you know, a lot of that kind of stuff in school. So when you were seeing that, so what was the turning point in your life that gave you that aha moment that something was missing in the beauty industry?
When I started watching the way that I was working with clients, when I had therapy under my belt, and I actually started realizing that in order for me to have a successful day, I had to have a successful morning. And it wasn't about a successful in terms of how much money it had nothing to do with it. If I was in my full power, in my full awareness, centered, grounded, I'd had my morning practice, eaten a really beautiful, nutritious breakfast, had some reflection time, journaled, actually came into myself and in a calm and steady place, understanding what every single body needs, the physical, the sensory, the emotional, the energetic, Initiation, Evolve. They're the first 4 modules, and that they've actually come from me practicing this myself and seeing how it expanded the way that my clients felt when they were working with me in that state. And the more I did for me, the more I took care of myself, the more my clients received from me.
Wow.
So, and it had nothing to do with the hair. I tell you now, had nothing to do with the hair. The hair was an outcome. And we've spoken about this, like about the hair being the outcome, the priority. The primary reason why clients come and see us is because of the relationship that they've developed with us. The ability that they are able to unpack and explore their internal dialogue and landscape, I call it, So they're unpacking and they feel safe in the container that you hold with them.
Mm-hmm.
And there is protocol and boundaries when you actually study and you understand communication, which is change agent, module 1, psychology of hairdressing, module 2, communication, really important. You know, these aspects where you understand the dynamics of, you know, relating and communicating with people and how that changes the environment in which you are able to hold and expand. So the more I learned, the deeper I got, the more my clients got. That's how it all started happening. And then I started mapping Evolve.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So deeper is what we want to definitely do. And I know you're not about fluff talk. You're not about small talk. You're like, let's get real. So let's talk about Head Ed. How did it evolve? Would you give us a breakdown more in depth of kind of the modules? How many modules are there? Kind of what's in there? You know, what are the benefits if people want to dive in with you and kind of go on this wonderful, enlightening journey?
Well, it is that. Thank you. It is actually that. It is an enlightening journey. It's an enlightening journey of the self, an enlightening journey of our relationship capacity. I mean, I just already shared there's 12 modules in Evolve. It's a year long, you know, so in a lot of industries, if you look at any other industry that you have to go and study for, you have curriculum, you have assessments, you have all of this. But I feel like what scares hairdressers, because we're so creative, is that this whole, you know, proper going to uni and studying. And I know I had to face that when I went and did all my study. But when I created Evolve with a hairdresser in mind. Now, how are hairdressers going to receive this? They're creative people. They don't want a whole lot of too much information, but they still need information and knowledge to understand how to work with these elements of communication, these elements of self-care, these elements of actually taking through the rites of passage, understanding archetypes, understanding their magic makeup, understanding how to do ritual, but understanding, not just being shown. That's one part. The other part is understanding the knowledge, having the wisdom. So in the first session, in the first four module block is initiation, and that's about coming into the self. The second block is called Change Agent. Change Agent is actually about understanding the psychology of hairdressing. I find such an important, oh my God, it's such an important subject. It's like, how have we not learned about the history of what we do? How have we not actually come into the culture of who it is and what it is that we are in? And understanding the psychology behind our business. Now, this just takes us to the next level of professionalism, because you are now understanding the psychology behind your work. You're not just, we can't keep on faking that we are doing all of these psychological things with our clients in terms of relating and communicating and understanding and all of these things without understanding that we're in psychology, that we're in the human experience. So that's really important part there. And then we move into communication, which is the biggest module in the whole of the Evolve course, because it's what we do 98% of the time.
Yes.
We were never given this work to actually understand how to read body language, how to have open and closed questions, how to really work with communication as a professional tool, not as a something that it's a hit and miss where we've been thrown into and gone, do your best, hope it works. No, there's actually methods around how to relate, how to communicate, how to deepen with a client that's stuck, you know, how to actually change your body structure to meet a client, to open them up. Like, so much information, it's not funny. And then we move into inner states in module 3 in Change Agent. And that's actually understanding how to work with people's different states of arousal. You know, like, you know, using like slight visualization techniques taking people on chakra alignment journeys, teaching them how to, and this stuff can be done in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I want to add, there's a really, 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 really juicy piece that I've added to this. Hairdressers actually work with mirrors. We work with mirrors, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I've turned the mirror into a therapeutic tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach you how to use the mirror alignment process that I've created, that I work as a medium between you and your client, and the client able to unpack themselves for you to reach their authenticity, like, oh my God, within moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is a magical tool, a magical tool.
Wonderful.
So everything we do is woven through MAP in this.
Mm-hmm.
So we do inner states, and then we move into transformation agent, which is the last phase of the Evolve program. And that is actually finding your magic makeup. You know, we're all, you know, I work with clairvoyance and clairsentience and clairs, every clair under the sun.
Yes.
And if you know how to use this tool in your body,
yes,
you alleviate burnout, 100% alleviate burnout, because you allow your tool to guide you. So you learn about what your tool is, what your care is, what your clair is in the first module. And the second module, we actually go into rites of passage. So change. Hairdress clients come to us because they want to change. And I feel like it was absolutely crazy that we didn't understand the rites of passage and the transitions in people's lives and what they're moving through at different times of their life, and what those characteristics are, so we can be aware of them. So we can actually identify them in the session with a client and be able to sit with them as they're moving through. And we have the knowledge. We're not just sitting there going, oh, okay, you seem stressed out. You actually understand what that's coming from. And that was actually triggered by me with that moment, that cathartic moment where I wanted to stab my client all those years ago, because she was having a nervous breakdown, but she was going through a transition. And if I had had that information, I would have dealt with the situation so differently. But I'm glad for it, because I ended up selling my business and doing this.
Yes. But I mean, good can come through. Yeah, good can come through in unexpected ways.
It's a journey. And we have to remember, like, we learn about the journey. It's about the journey with the client. So we've moved out of charging for the service now, and we're charging for the hour, because we're actually working with clients in a relational way. We're not, it's not about them coming in for the haircut. It's about them going, we're going on an adventure today. Where are we going? What journey are we going to go on together today? And that's the focus. And that actually comes in with the archetypal awareness in module 3 in Transformation Agent, where you learn about archetypal practices and what actually comes through at different stages in people's lives, which marries in with the rites of passage. And then, of course, concluding into that with ritual, understanding the different rituals through rites of passage and archetypes, and how these three marry into a union. And how you can create and cultivate ritual with your archetypal awareness and your rites of passage with your clients. And you can already see, like, you've moved from yourself and actually evolving into that, and then moving into the business and evolving into that, and then moving and bringing and bridging into magic. And look, who doesn't want to bring magic into their work? Once we slip into that slipstream of magic, burnout is gone. And I can say that 100%, because I've experienced it. Burnout actually leaves you. I come out of my sessions, when I do them, feeling alive and full of life. I have never been burnt out working this way ever since then.
But do you find that burnout is an indicator, like a red flag that people don't see? Like, they think, oh, I'm just working too hard. I do too many clients. I'll just go home and I'll have a bubble bath, and that'll alleviate everything. With the bubble bath, that's fine. You'll relax for those moments you're in the tub, and with the aromatherapy, whatever. But that stress, that burnout, that stuff's all going to come back, right?
Totally.
When you're not present in the moment, you're not like there. There's so much in this episode already. Like, there's so much in this episode already that you've brought so much great value, and the time just goes so quickly. You
Oh
know,
my God.
we're already there. I told you the time goes quickly. That's why we need a series. So if you'll come back and we'll do a series and kind of unpack for more people, maybe do some live Q&As so people can go really deep sort of in with you as well. So if you want to find Mariana, we have her social media here. So I'm just going to pop those up. So if you want to look for her, so with so it's called Head Ed, not Headed, right?
No, yep.
Head Ed.
Yep.
And you're located in Australia,
Yep.
correct?
Australian.
Oh, okay. You didn't notice the accent, but if you go to this page on Facebook, head.ed.evolve, go check it out. Make sure that you, or is this your personal page? No, this is a Facebook page.
Yeah, that's a Facebook page.
So that's a Facebook page. Go there. You're going to see a lot of wonderful stuff that really makes you think. You have to be in the moment. Like, I have so many questions I really want to talk to you about. Like, so much. Like, I'm just burnt. I'm already there's something that you do to me. I tingle when you're around. I'm actually buzzing right now. I was buzzing as soon as you came online. And this is like honest, authentic truth. I'm just, and to say, like, even though we have a long day and we have like different time zones, like for me, I put in a 14-day, but if you can still have that energy, and like you said, if you have that energy and you don't have that burnout, you're not letting, and I think that's part of the mindset. If you're dealing with a negative mindset, it's how you look at stuff, wanting to kill a client. I'm sure you know what I mean? Not literally, but figuratively, but that it really shows you that if you're kind of feeling like that, you should align with Mariana and like get to know what she's doing. You can visit her website here as well. We'll also put it below the video. And wherever you're watching, make sure if you're watching the video online, you say, if you're watching it for the first time, say live or say replay. And also you can check out Linktree. So if you go to Linktree, and I went to Linktree, so of course, because I have that type of, I have to dissect everything, break it down, do all the research. I got to do all the research. And that's why it's so important, because what you teach is something of a higher consciousness that we don't normally have. And you talk about ritual, but you don't, like, a lot of people think, well, I don't have a ritual. Well, I think you do. You just don't think you do. So whatever experience you're giving that client, that's your ritual, because you're doing it habitually over and over and over. And if you're unconscious while you're doing it, or you're going through the motions, that's still what they're receiving, sort of thing. But as we kind of wrap up, and I don't want to go, but we we will, so because we want you to come back and listen, and we love your comments, love your feedback, that sort of thing as well. So as we part with our audience, I would like, Mariana, if you can just give a nugget of gold to leave our audience with.
I'm going to give you a nugget of gold.
Yes,
I've got a piece here. Where is it gone? And it's really about coming into the self, you know, and really about recognizing that if we put ourselves in the center, the hairdresser in the center of the room, I'm not talking about your ego here. I'm actually talking about your soul. If we put ourselves in the center of the room and fill the space with what it is that you want to create, you want to manifest for the day, the kind of state you want to be in, the kind of day you want to have, the type of clients that you want to be actually engaging with. If you're intentional with, from the moment you wake up to the minute you finish and you go to sleep, intentional with everything that you do, it means that you're present, it means that you're grounded, and it means that you are aware of every element of your day, and you have the power to make choice from that. Anything else, like at the end of your day, if you're burnt out and you're going back and you're and you're self-medicating, that doesn't give you the power to make change. That just gives you the power to suppress. And what I'm advocating is let's evolve so that we can give our power to ourselves and empower ourselves to choose how it is we want to be and who it is we want to be with. And that is my, for now, little piece.
Wow. It's powerful. It's powerful. Because as I listen to those words, my mind is, I'm just feeling all kinds of feelings. but we'll have to unpack those in another episode. So if you want to hear me unpack feelings, maybe you don't. Maybe I don't. Because I think that probably scares the heck out of people, is being authentic. I want to keep going, but I have to cut myself off. Yes. Set those boundaries.
Boundaries.
So I want to say, go ahead. Yeah.
No, it was just so wonderful. I know it was really short. And from our first conversation of dropping in before we actually did this, we could have gone on for hours, you and I. And it was just so wonderful that in such a short time, we were able also to really pinpoint, I feel, really important cues that will awaken, hopefully, the hairdressers and bring them into this state of, hey, there is more. There is more. There is so much more, because you do so much more.
Exactly. I like to honor, people's time that they're spending to choose their time to join us. So I don't like taking advantage of that. But as we wrap up, thank you so much, Mariana, for being on the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast. And we'll see everyone next time.
Thank you, Brad.